Have you ever thought about the way you have to mask between different people and switch off back and forth? If you haven't, then you're lucky. But if you have, I just want to say first and foremost, I'm so sorry. Masking is well known in the neurodiverse community because it requires you to put on a mask to fit into the majority population who have social skills where they do interact with each other, where you do have to stick to one topic at a time that may not be your preferred topic and whatnot. Also, my name is Natalie. I am a speech language pathologist. I love all things neuroscience, spirituality, mindset, and I'm also a spoonie. And so, aside from ASD, autism, ADHD, I wanted to talk a little bit about stuttering. Stuttering is when you have disfluency in your language, and this could be getting stuck on one sound, getting stuck on one word, getting stuck on one phrase, using filler words like like. And honestly, I'm someone who uses and like and throughout my speech. And so one of my students has made awesome progress. Like, I am proud of him. We still stutter, but we are participating more in the classroom. We're talking to people, we're social, we're making jokes. And that's what I want to see. But his goals that I inherited are really looking at reducing and utilizing speech strategies, just fluency strategies, fluency shaping techniques, reducing secondary behavior such as eye contact and moving your arms. And that made me start thinking about masking for individuals who stutter. And so I turned to the research just to see if there are any updates in terms of stuttering acceptance. And so I was doing this course, and one study by Technor and Yars 2019 talked about how people who experienced therapy that focused solely on reducing the amount of stutters or disfluency someone's experienced involved more adverse effects. And that made me think about, like, oh my goodness. So this is like masking that long term, like how it affects your authenticity, how it makes you scared to participate, how it causes avoidance. Not to say even like the cognitive load that it takes for you to make sure that you are using these strategies across the domain, because we don't necessarily have spontaneous recovery with our stutter. We don't necessarily have that ability. Stuttering is so multifaceted, and we're still getting down to the nitty gritty for each individual human, but it's different for everyone. And so if you're being told you're not speaking the right way, that absolutely sucks. That would affect how I grow up. And then the second study I wanted to talk about was by Worley, Bird, and Colson, 2023. You would think as a speech therapist I would know how to pronounce these names. But this one talked about how stuttering acceptance, disfluency acceptance, and even disclosing the fact that you are someone who stutters helps improve communication between you and the listener. And so those who disclosed whether they stuttered actually showed that the listener paid more attention and retained more of the conversation than people who didn't disclose and focused more on those fluency shaping techniques and reducing secondary behaviors like eye contact and moving your arms. And so, as I'm writing his goals, I included some of these in the discussion. But for me, I'm like, I want to make sure that my student leaves the session feeling fulfilled, like he could go to the classroom and read a whole paragraph and not have to worry, and feel like even though he stuttered, that was a neutral situation. Like, oh, it felt more tense. Like putting language to it rather than putting the language like negatively, like that my stuttering was worse today. Like, that does not have to be the case, whether it felt tense or I just was feeling off mentally and that's why, or I'm sleepy. I asked my student how he thought about his speech, and he said he's been doing awesome. And that is why I do my job. And I just feel so fulfilled based on this case. So if you stutter, take this into account. And I'm so sorry if you or if you're neurodivergent had this situation where you're being controlled to participate in social skills thinking that this is going to help the mainstream. Whereas, like, how are you as an individual being seen? So I'm sending love and light. You're awesome.